Brought to you by Crimson Cult Media.
We got you now.
No turning back. Welcome to Moths to the Flame. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back, Morbid Moss. Thank you for joining us today. We have the fabulous Pamela Kinney with us today. We both are still trying to come back to life after AuthorCon, aren't we?
Thank you for having me. Actually, I submitted a story today. It was just yesterday I kind of needed to relax. Today I kind of just forced myself back in.
Oh, good for you. Yeah, I've been at work the last 2 days, and so I feel like I've just not had that moment of rest yet that I need,
Yeah,
And of course, then I stay up too late at night and, prisoner of my own making. So for our listeners and our watchers, thank you guys for tuning in. This is Moss to the Flame, the best podcast where we interview all horror writers, indie horror, anybody that has anything spooky to say. So Pamela gave up long ago, trying not to listen to the voices in her head, and has written award-winning, best-selling horror, fantasy, science fiction, poetry, nonfiction ghost books based out of Virginia, where she's from, and a cryptid book ever since. 3 of her nonfiction ghost books garnered the Library of Virginia nomination. Her horror short story, Bottled Spirits, was runner-up for the 2013 WSFA Small Press Award and is considered one of the 7 best genre short fictions for that year. She and her husband lived with one crazy black cat. How appropriate for a horror writer. Along with writing, Pamela has acted on stage and film, does paranormal investigations for Paranormal World Seekers for AVA Productions, and is a member of the Horror Writers Association and Virginia Writers Club. So, woo! Welcome, Pamela.
I forgot to add in there, I have a children's picture book that actually won the book list awards, Big Book Fest awards, second place.
Awesome.
And, it from Dream Punk Press. That came out on Halloween of all things. But it's Fairies and Christmas, and I have a YA coming out, Dark Fantasy, this year from them too. So
cool. Is that the one? Demon
Memories. Demon Memories.
Yes.
It's going to be 400 pages. That's all I'm going to say.
Wow. So that's a lot of Demon Memories.
I didn't think I wrote that much. I'm part of it. I know it's what they put in front and back, but no, a lot of it was 300 something. I just didn't thought 95,000 words was that much, but
yeah, that is wild. That's a lot. We have our first comment, and it says, "Hey, my spooktacular friends, hope you're having another wicked day. You're both absolutely amazing, fantastic, and incredible." And it doesn't show me who said that, but I know that's Reese, because that is the support that he always has. And I love that. Love seeing you here, Reese. Thank you for tuning in to Moss to the Flame. So I want to know, Pamela, and we're definitely going to talk about the Women's Veteran Anthology that is coming out later this year. So we're going to get to that for sure, because I want to make sure we talk about that. But I want to know what first sparked your interest in writing horror fiction. Was there a particular book or a movie that inspired you to get into this genre? Has it been a lifelong thing? Tell us about where it started.
I was always writing horror, science fiction, and fantasy of types. Though as a kid, for a while, there was science fiction, which probably had horror in it, and animal stories, because I like animals. But as I got older, a lot of spooky stuff. I used to, back in 7th grade, I had a friend in my class that had a pen pal that she knew over in Vietnam at the time.
War. Oh, wow.
And he's looking for stories for entertainment. So I write stories, and she sent it to him. So he got a lot of some of them later on that I would start writing again when I remembered them all. So it started there, but it was Shirley Jackson. It really got me wanting to be just like her. When I got 8th grade, my parents moved to this house that was connected to this other house that was the landlady's, and she gave me all of Shirley Jackson's books. So
Oh,
I started reading it, and The Haunting of Hill House is the only one to scare me in the daytime in a nice crowded room with eighth graders. It was science class. I finished early. Teacher says, go ahead and read your book while the others are doing their thing.
yep.
Bright sunny afternoon, the sunlight comes through. This is California. And there's a part where it's banging on the doors and the women are alone and they chase that, supposedly they thought it was an animal outside. And I freaked out. In the daylight, full of people in there. Wasn't everybody else had to do it at night alone in a bedroom. That
Yeah.
can do that. But so I said,
No.
you know, I want to grow up to be Shirley Jackson.
Yes. What? I mean, when you can have that level of fear right in the daytime, that's how you know she's done her job. Like, I want to instill that kind of fear in people too. From my work, of course, from my work. So very cool. Very, very cool. So do you remember the first book that you had published?
Well, I don't know about book, but I can tell you poems. I was just 17, not graduated high school. And 3 poems I submitted. Back then, you didn't have the internet, so you had to do a book in the library and look at places to submit. And there was a poetry magazine called Hacients and Biscuits in Los Angeles. So I mailed it off, 3 of them. They allowed you up to that. And they sent me a thing back. They accepted them, and they had a contract for me there to sign. And they would be able to send me the money, which was $5 per poem, by the way. Back
Wow.
then. That was pretty good. So
That's what I feel like. Yeah.
and they were The Horse, The Leopard, and Sands of Time. And then a few months later, when I was already past 18, the following spring, I got 3 more published by them, Star Journey and a couple of others. So that was my start, and I got paid for it. You know,
Yeah,
so that's
that's
a cool thing.
awesome. Kind of hit the ground running there right out of the gate. That's
Right.
very, very cool. So, your horror stories and your poetry have been published in numerous anthologies, magazines. I would like to know kind of what your process is in crafting an effective and chilling shorter story. Or because I feel like that's such a craft in and of itself to just
Yeah.
be able to condense it down into that small short story or flash fiction.
The smallest I got, believe it or not, I did a 100-word one, and that was published. And then I put it in my, I had a collection, a lot of the ones already published and new ones. I also had a one called Werewolf for Hire. That was my first one. And actually, it was written originally a long time ago when I was in high school and on the way home from school. So I kind of remembered it, and I had almost got it published in the 80s, no, 90s. It was 90s. I got the letter from them, and they had rejected it. So I thought, well, I got a second letter the following week, and I thought, oh, why did they write me back? They already rejected me. They said they would have accepted Werewolf for Hire, but at the time they were merging with another company. And I would remember to send them back stuff when they got back together. Of course, back then you lost things. You didn't have
Right.
all that stuff to save. So years later, ended up online with horror, science fiction, fantasy.com. And it was one of the 10 best that they, in the long run, I got it accepted for that thing. So that was probably like then. And so that was 380 words. So
Wow.
I learned to go small. I was always taught, because I used to do acting, and the agent always says that, you know, besides acting on film, you should, even if you have to do volunteer theater, theater, and that
Yeah.
doesn't pay you, to make yourself a well-rounded actor. Well, I take that in the process, the same thing with writing, to be hopefully a well-rounded writer, not just novels, but short stories, poetry, and the short stories and the value up to novellas. So I've done them all, and it's short stories are easy. I just let my mind go, and when I'm ready, when something hits me, I start writing it, and that's how I do. And then of course edits. Let's be honest, you have to go through that, plus the critique group maybe, and so that helps a lot. Novellas, big ones, and then my novels. It's still without. I'm going to let out a secret. I don't
I'm ready.
use outlines. I'm the bad
You're a
person.
pantser?
literally. Well, not quite. I'm smarter than most people. I don't let myself first. I know the ending. Let me
Yeah.
tell you, I see everything in a view as a colored movie in my head. That's really weird, but I actually see this whole book in my head. It's kind of odd,
Yeah.
I know. And then I write down the ending, then I write the end and going toward it. Of course, over the time, I write down the names of the characters that come across, their color, their hair, everything, their job. Even if it doesn't end up being used later, I even know their names because you come later. I'm one of those. I used to review books and drive me nuts when you see somebody's name changed or something like that.
Yes.
And at the end, I have a kind of an outline, but just a little bit of what I got to the end. But that's the last three chapters. But actually, yeah, it comes out of my head, and so that big book, that YA, was out of my head. I have another novel, urban fantasy with horror, uh, How the Vortex Changed My Life. That was out of my head. I have other ones written down and done. So I halfway done or halfway done on my computer. It just comes out of my head. So
Yeah. Wow, that is a skill. I'm like so meticulous and psychotic about my outlines. Like, I'm not a pantser only for a short story. And even then, I don't know. There's something about an outline that really comforts me. And I was not always like that, but yeah, my husband is a pantser. Bert, he writes that way. And I don't have that skill. I sure don't.
everybody's different. You have to find what fits you.
Oh yeah, for
That's
sure.
why they say one way's wrong. No, whatever fits you. And it's working for me. It's just always has all my life. So
Yeah,
I,
you
I
gotta
guess
do.
I have a super big imagination. I don't know.
So I have to ask then, you've done it all. You've tried all the different formats of writing to be the well-rounded writer. What is your favorite to write? Is it novels? Is it the nonfiction? Is it poetry? Is it the
Well,
little flash
novels
travel
and all that
things?
stuff is, and poetry, all that stuff is out of my head. So that's my imagination. Nonfiction, I do like because it teaches me things too. I may learn something I didn't know, whether it's the ghost, number one, the ghost books, which is all regional here. A lot of it, there's history in it too. So I may learn history that we're not seeing in the books that in school. That's more up to date, local, close.
Yeah.
And we, of course, learn ghost stories that are interesting, or monster stories and Bigfoot, things that will inspire me later to think of an idea for a fiction story. And so that's what I learned from that. And it's a totally different process. I got that. I have to read all these books because it's a little different than fiction. I just get it and I do them each chapter separately.
Uh-huh.
Like, fiction, everything's straight down the line of story.
Right.
This one I put them separately. Then I wait till it's all done and I figure it's done. And I've been editing it or edit the first few bunch. Then I start figuring how to put it together where I want it to look good in the book. They may
Yeah.
add a little differences, but mostly what they do is the editors of those places like Schiffer and all that. And of course the cryptid ones, Werewolves, Dogman, and other Shapeshifter Stalking North America. That was Dreampunk Press that did that too. And she went through to see what fits nicely, to make it more pat. But that's about it. But yeah, it's a totally different process. But I like it that I learned things. Some things help me with writing stories too.
Right. So I want to ask, many of your stories feature supernatural or otherworldly type elements like ghosts and vampires, dark magic, that kind of thing. So what draws you to those types of themes and creatures?
Because I like to read them. Because I
Like, I
probably
like to write what I read, right? Yeah.
yeah, I'm not too much into the serial killers. I figure we got enough the real things out here, and if
Yeah.
I have them, they're destroyed by the ghost or whatever that they caused to be a ghost in the first place. I had a couple of them where the guy had killed women, and at the end, it's the last one he thought he killed. She picks it and ends up in the cemetery, and they all come after him. All his victims are in that cemetery. Same thing with the children that were killed by this. I haven't got that one published yet, and that one is where the kids were killed by this guy, and they all come after him and stuff the sucker that's full of poison he had put in the sucker, so they died from that. They
Oh,
put a lot of them all in his mouth.
I like a good revenge arc for sure. That sounds fun. That definitely sounds fun. All right, we're going to take a quick moment to play an ad and we'll be right back. This is for Carrietta, Dorsh's Unmarked Grave. Woo! That one makes
that's creepy. It's bugs.
Yeah. Cockroaches. Ugh, yeah. So everybody make sure to check that book out for sure. Coming from Immortality Press. I believe it is out with them currently. It was available at AuthorCon and I think they still have some copies. So yay. All right. So let's talk about the Veterans Anthology that came from
The Thunder Swan Press.
Thunder Swan Press, right? So tell us about how you got involved in that. It's what a cool idea. I sat on the panel where she was talking about making that process happen, and how cool. What a cool passion that the editor has for it.
Well, she's the first to do it. She double checked. She found out someone had started one but never did it.
Okay.
And honestly, I hate to say it, it's not only the first woman's horror, but I don't think there's a fantasy or a science fiction version either out there. And that should be done next, in my opinion, because, but she started putting the call out. And I was in the Army, so,
Thank you for your service.
So I could submit. I submitted a ghost story one, of course, about a haunted app. You don't want to get free apps because it might come back to haunt you. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
You're giving magnets. I give magnets away with the last signing we had. I'm going to give it this coming Saturday. We have another signing near here where I live at that I'll be giving some more of those magnets out. But, and then my poem, Ghost of Written Words, too, which is more about writing, I guess, ghosts and written words.
Okay. Very cool.
But yeah, it was really cool. And of course, she had the Kickstarter that she started, which not only helped, but to also pay for illustrations inside and whatever else. And surprisingly, got a lot of people out there did it, including my husband, one of my husband's own cousins that lives in Virginia, actually. She's married to a Navy guy, so that was nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so it did well, our first signing. People think, oh, horror's not going to sell. Well, they had to come there that day and watch those people picking those books up.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And they're supporting the Veterans Foundation for Women's Veterans Programs. So
yeah,
kind of a nice deal that they get stories out of that and get to support something.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you ever thought about writing anything connected or referencing or, inspired by some of your Army experiences?
I have something, not mine, but I have an idea that gave me an idea modern-wise to do it a cryptid, but it's not published yet, but it's a short story. Okay. The Orang Batai, actually, I wrote a Orang Batai story before, and it got published, but this one's a different one, set in the country, not completely at the end like the other story is, and the military's going there, or something like that, to kind of find what happened to this group that's no longer getting anything from. So the Orangutan is a pretty bloodthirsty cryptid, and it's either looks like a flat monkey with wings or it looks like a pterodactyl. I mean, it's an Indo-Asia area. So
any kind of winged creature, it's a big joke with all my friends, but it's not a joke. But I'm super afraid of chickens. And I thought it was just chickens, but it's really anything with wings, like birds, talons. That stuff is scary. I don't like that very much. So that probably is I'm gonna have to skip out on that story. I can read all of the gore and the splatter stuff, but man, you throw some winged creatures in there and I'm out of there. Unless it's Mothman, I can handle that. That's about it. So yeah. Now I really want to talk about your experience too in acting and in film. So did you just do acting on the film side? Have you ever done any screenwriting? What was that experience like?
Well, I actually learned screenwriting, and my first college was way back in California at Grossmont College. And my major was TV, movie, and film production. And I did take screenwriting class and actually got a straight A in it. and one of my store commercials was supposed to be used because a former teacher worked for Channel 8 out there in San Diego, and then it didn't get shown. I thought, well, I got an A. And then later on, someone said they did see it. So, and I said, well, I
Okay.
can't complain. I can't say demand money that, but it was used because
Yeah.
I put the A in it. And so I've done that, but and I know how to write screenplays. So maybe one day I'll probably write one. I had started one with a story of my idea of mine, but and it was horror. But,
And those are the best.
but yeah, but I also did film, kind of like worked at Fort Lee on their school that they have, and I worked behind the camera. So I got to work with one of the guys working for it that worked in the back with the computers, doing all the stuff in the back. He's the guy that used to do with another horror actor here. They did a horror host thing here in Richmond. And
Oh, cool.
I got to meet. He lives here in Chester. He still comes to something like Monster Fest out here, or their horror host thing, or something like that, or like last year RavenCon. But Igor, his name was in it. But it's so funny because that's what he does for a living normally, is right there. But that's what he used to do. Yeah, be on TV like that.
Huh.
But yeah, so I got to do all that. As for acting, one, I did a independent film, and I rewrote my words because when I was studying them, the guy, the director producer wrote it, and obviously he is not a writer. He doesn't sound like a
Oh,
real
no.
person that would be able to speak right, how we
Yeah.
speak. So I rewrote it the way it should be. So he didn't complain, didn't say anything, so thank God. But I did.
Right.
I had the speaking part, and then I did a commercial with a speaking part for the Virginia Lottery years ago. So you get paid pro rates for that, and then mostly it's been extra work. So I've been in films like Cherry Falls, I call it. It's one that murderers killing all the people that were uh, virgins or something like that, and I was a mother of a parent of a child. So stuff.
Fun. How
And I
fun
was in,
that
and I
is.
was in a Stephen King's. They made a movie out of his part of his book, Hearts on Atlantis. It's the waitress scene where the kid and the guy are going, and they come in there, and I'm in there. I was was an actress as a waitress for that. So the
That is
head
so
waitress.
fun.
So things like that I've done. So yeah, I just
Yeah.
haven't done it in a while, but that's fine. I guess doing paranormal investigating with Paranormal World Seekers, my co-producer follows us around with he's a professional. That's what he does for a living with the big camcorder, commercials, movies and stuff. So we actually have the real big thing walking around. So we have DVDs sometimes for sales at some of my events that he's
Cool.
doing that. So
tell us about the paranormal investigations. Do you guys travel mostly around Virginia? Have
well,
you, what are the cool places you've been? Tell us about that.
around Virginia, I try to find things that are different than everybody else has done. I've done Rosewood Plantation. We didn't get that on film because at the time they had a kind of ruling about where it can be sold. So I got to write about it in a book. It's actually in a ebook on Amazon that's by the publisher, or she's not even a publisher. It's just her book about true ghost stories, and they did put the pictures in it because I did catch some, and I have proof of
Okay.
showing it. And that was Rosewood Plantation, which is ruins. It's been the 1600s, but we got voices, including the woman that first talked to me a year before that on my ghost box, but on recordings too. Two guys said they were they were family. An African American slave came on there, and his name he gave us is in the woman's head docent's books about it. So we got an accurate name and a kid, and then the other another kid that's supposed to be haunting there. My co investigator Carol, her husband went to go to the bathroom at from the ruins to where the place is for the center, and he kept hearing as he's jogging, running footsteps behind him. So
Oh,
he
no.
stops, and they stop, and he takes off again. They start behind him again. So he runs all the way to there, and he tells them that he's heard something. Oh, that's that young boy. He likes to tease people, and he'll run behind them or walk behind them. They, down that road all the time. Other people have had experiences, and of course, he told my girlfriend, and I said, Carol, he's a skeptic. But now he's lost his skeptic. Now you'll never have to worry about him not listening to you and saying it's not true. The next day he told her he thought he imagined it. I said, Carol, he's probably scared and he doesn't all this stuff and he just doesn't want to admit that.
Yeah, he's not admitting it to himself. He's like, it wasn't real. It's fine.
But when I asked, will you show to any of us on my Mark's camcorder or any of our pictures? They said, the woman said, Beth said, we will. And when I went home and I looked at mine real close, now during the day, all this time, I'm always pointing at my camera when I take pictures at the wine cellar, because I've had experience when I did this book for the place, the first issue of it, the first thing. And it was always, there was something in the walking and I heard a voice from when I was in there outside, a woman's voice. So maybe I thought I'd catch them. And then daytime, you see nothing. You can tell on the side that the wall has fallen. So there's nothing what's not there. The next one, the dark nighttime, same thing, nothing there. It's the third picture. It's a male figure standing there, kind of off, but it's right there exactly where there was nothing in the night one or the other one. So she's got all three and lined in my story in this book, True Ghost Stories, which people can find on my Amazon page for Pamela Kinney. And it's the only one on Amazon, and it's an ebook, about probably 99 cents. They could buy that and they could see that.
Yes. So the link that I have up as a comment right now, everyone that is watching, that is where you can go to find Pamela's books on Amazon. So go to that link. You can't click on it on the screen, but you can type it in. I did the short code. So I just wanted to have that up there so that people could go find your work for sure, because you have such a wide range. You've got the nonfiction stuff. You've got the with the paranormal aspects, very cool. And then you've got the fiction. Love that. So I want to hear about any paranormal experiences that you have had. Like, what's the most insane one that you've had?
All my life. One of them was my father haunted the house for about 3 days after he died. We had, I remember this was 70s. I was in college and we were home and suddenly he was saying he was really cold. He left the heater on the wall, ran into the bedroom, and my mother found him in there with a sheet pulled over his face, which freaked her out. And she tried to get him. He was not feeling good, like he was having issues. So she called. Back then we didn't have 911. So trying to get a hold of a number to get the fire department was all screwing up. Finally, she got a hold of them. They came over there, and I took them in a thing away, and my dog howled. I don't know why I said that. I said, oh, Pepe's howled. I think Dad died. That's what I thought.
Oh, no.
He did die there. He had a lot of things like that. But right after that, in the one bedroom where he was from, the light was going off and on, off and off from the ceiling. And of course, we had no time to do that stuff. It was really freaky. My mother slept in the living room. I came home from college before, waiting till we bury him. And she was freaking out. And she said she saw him. He woke her up, saw his face. I said, well, that's Dad. He's not going to hurt you better than that. It just freaked her out. And so things like that. So when he was buried and everything through the church, Catholic church, bury him, all that stuff, the lights stopped blinking. Nothing wrong. It went on and off with the switch. So she called a professional in because she could do a lot of things. She was pretty ahead of her time for that. Checked with them, but she didn't know how to fix things, and neither did I. So she called an electrician, and he went and he looked at it, and he said, there's nothing wrong with the light at all.
Oh, my gosh.
Just for the 3 days it went doing that. 3 days. And it always made me think of going to catechism class 3 days, and then you go to, heaven or hell, wherever it is, the afterlife.
Yep.
I guess that might say this is accurate. 3 days it was light when he got buried.
Yeah, that's wild.
So that was kind of a freaky, interesting thing.
Absolutely.
And I've seen ghosts over the years. I've seen the ghosts of Mrs. Whaley in the Whaley house in San Diego, the famous, most haunted house, looking through a window.
Oh,
We couldn't
wow.
go in, we couldn't afford. We only had money for it was our school, a ninth grade class. We went on a field trip, so my friend and I went across. My best friend and I. She's looking through the window with the where the hallway was. I was looking where the courtroom was. And I saw this lady in old-fashioned clothing, black hair and a bun, real small, short, going through like almost like she's floating along, but still thought she
Yeah.
was. Like, that's just my way she was walking. She went through the doorway. I wanted to see her. My friend had vacated that window. There was nobody there. So we went in. We saw the door was open. It was springtime. And my friend Debbie said, "Let's go in there and ask them." And they were, of course, dressed in regular clothing. And I said, "Where's the lady that works here in the costume?" Other one of the ladies, "We don't wear costume." But there was a lady in a costume, an old-fashioned 1800s dress, in the courtroom, walking through her hair. And they asked me to describe. So I described everything about her. And the lady looks at me and says, "You saw the ghost of Mrs. Whaley."
Oh, wow.
Was as
That's so
solid as you
cool.
and color and everything in the daytime.
Okay, so that is one of the locations that my childhood best friend growing up, she's from the Whaley family. And so I've said for sure when we go to San Diego for StokerCon that I have to go visit there. I mean, I can't
Yes,
not,
you do. Yes,
And
you do.
I didn't realize that San Diego was like such a haunted, spooky place.
I grew up in California. It's
No.
half and
Yeah.
half. Believe me, between here and Virginia, they're the oldest, first Native Americans and everything else. So, oldest civilization, Spanish.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, I had no idea that California was, I just always think of like sunshine and beaches and LA and, then like way up where the trees are. That's, I don't ever think of spooky haunted stuff. So, yeah, pretty cool. Pretty excited to make it out there to San Diego for StokerCon. That's going to be fun. So I'm solidified after hearing your story. I have to go to the Whaley House. Like, I have to go for sure. So I would like to know, you write in multiple genres. Is horror the number one love, or does science fiction kind of top as an equal, or how do you which one is your
you
love?
know, horror is not a genre as much as an emotion. So it's in science fiction, it's in fantasy, it's in all this stuff. So to me, I like horror. I like scary stuff and ghost stories and that, but I'll read science fiction. Hey, I used to, before I retired from reviewing for this blog, I actually reviewed Ghost Station, which just came out, and
Yeah.
that's kind of spooky. And yet it's on a station. It's empty of this planet that they're stuck on, and there's nothing there, but they're having weird things going on. So who's to say it can't happen? I mean, aliens is freaky weird.
Yeah. I mean, so do you believe in aliens or no?
I believe I've seen a UFO too. That's another whole story from my
Oh
past.
yeah, UFO. I could talk about UFOs for a whole hour. Like
That was the daytime too. So I actually saw how big the UFO that I saw was. So it was that low
That's
to the ground.
cool. That is cool. All right, we're going to take a really quick break and we'll be right back here on Moss to the Flame. All right. Hopefully everyone saw that was an ad for my forthcoming Crimson Cobblestones, the Benjamin Franklin and how he's connected with a serial killing sex cult. So don't want to miss out on that one, right? Yeah.
It's a little different.
Different is definitely one way to describe it for sure. I love Kat Valor. Her review of it was like, guys, this is the one to go in blind on because it's a wild up and down ride for sure. So had to get that little ad in there. So I would like to know, as far as your writing goes, do you find yourself swaying more towards specific tropes? Are there things that you like to cover? Are you trying to like tell a message, or are you trying to really invoke that creeping dread, scare people type thing?
Well, I want hopefully a creeping dread, but I try to make it as much as possible something different every time. I mean, you know, and hopefully different from that's already out there. Though at this point in life, there's probably every story has been done and every line has been done, just how you write it. Um, but all of them, I guess, at some point or another, hopefully. Some stories will have a message, some are just out to scare you.
Just out to scare you. I love that. So what's next for author Pamela Kinney? What are you working on right now? What's coming out soon? Where are you headed? What are you doing?
Well, the next thing is Demon Memories, and that's on October 15th. And there's actually on YouTube for Dream Punk Press's own YouTube channel, they got the book video for it already up.
Oh, cool.
Tied in the date, I can tell you, the whole thing ends. But
sorry, I accidentally clicked there. I was trying to go find the ad. I'm like, how can I go find it?
Halloween, but she just add to that book trail at the end. The apocalypse hits October 15th, 2024. So it's going to be a hardcover. The paperback and the ebooks are coming in January. So.
Okay, very cool. Very, very cool. And where can our watchers and listeners find you, find more about your work, and interact with you?
Well, there's my website to start with, and that's Pamela K. Kinney, PAMELAKK. Don't forget the 2 Ks, INNEY.com. Also, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Goodreads. I'm not on TikTok yet.
Hey, we need it. We need some Pamela Kinney TikTok videos. Okay.
there's been videos on my Instagram. Believe me, one of them of all weird thing had nothing to do with my books was place we were eating, and it ended up it's over at the last point 6,000 at the last time I looked.
But, oh my gosh!
They like the Japanese guy doing it in the fire going. I don't.
Oh yeah, hibachi's always super fun for sure.
That one went like crazy. I have no idea why.
People are weird. The things that go viral, I'm always like, what? And then you put so much effort into something else and it doesn't hit at all. I'm just like, oh, social media, Lord. So PamelaKKinney.com. They can find you on Facebook, and make sure to check her work out in tell me one more time, the Veterans Anthology.
A Haunted Zone.
The Haunted Zone.
It's on Amazon, and it's on Barnes & Noble. It's on Books A Million, bookshop.org. It's at Tundra Swan Press's own website, too, for shop. She has both that and the hardcover that was through Kickstarter. The paperback is one way. The Kickstarter one, hardcover, the same illustrations inside are in color. Ooh. Different cover. It's gorgeous. And the ebooks are, of course, Kindle, Kobo, and of course on Barnes & Noble. So you have to find those through there.
Yeah.
But, I'll have, if anybody's interested, of course, signings this weekend at the Barnes & Noble here at Chesterfield Town Center in North Chesterfield, Virginia at 1 to 3. There'll be me and 3 others. So signing there. And then in a couple of weeks, I'll be at RavenCon as a guest. So I'll have some at my signing table on Friday nights where they set me selling some of my books. And the rest of them, like werewolves and all that stuff, will be with Tara at Dream Punk Press's booth there. She's in the dealer's room for that. And we'll probably have pre-orders. I'm hoping that's what she's planning. Hopefully for RavenCon, the people can pick up the cards with the pre-order link for the Demon Memories already.
Yes. So the Haunted Zone, Demon Memories, and come check out your readings and signings this weekend and at RavenCon coming up. So thank you so much for coming on Moths to the Flame, Pamela. It was a joy to have you. And we're going to have to make sure to do this again sometime, okay?
Sure. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. I hope you have a great evening.
You too.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, my lovely moths. So there we have it. Pamela K. Kinney, and you can find her at pamelakkinney.com. And as for me, I'm going to fly to the flame. But before I do that, I want to let you guys in on a little secret. And first of all, I have to express my sincere thanks for everyone that at AuthorCon wrapped their arms around me and Bert and just it was so, so good to see all of you. So wonderful, like seeing family. And I think that the success from like the personal I don't want to say demons, but the personal anxiety that Bert was able to overcome by doing the gross out contest has given him enough confidence to come on to some podcasts with me. So I think he and I are going to start our own separate from Moss to the Flame little crimson chat time where we'd review books and movies and talk creepy stuff. And that would be super awesome. So my moths, I am hoping you'll be able to tune into that. I will have more details forthcoming. And if you have suggestions, movies or horror books that you would like to see us review and talk about, and all the wild and out that we always do, the ridiculousness that comes with Bert and I, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Shoot me a message. I always want to hear from you guys, and join me together in our little moth nation here. So until next time, love you guys. Bye-bye.